Hi, I'm Daniel Murphy and welcome to another episode of Dangerous Trees. It's coming down today and it is a dangerous tree for sure. You might be able to see that crack right there, but it gets much worse than that. So that's the front side of the tree. Now we take a look at the back side. We're having a little technical difficulty with the camera, so we'll show you some still shots. You can see how dead the tree is. It's been dead at least 4 or 5 years, maybe more. And it's about 2 feet away from those wires on the back side, making it extremely dangerous. Now here, look at that knot hole about 8-10 feet up. It's on the right there. This picture is actually after we did a probe and sounding of the tree. That's the stick we used to sound the tree. We started beating around and easily were able to poke a hole right through the back side of the tree there. And then upon probing with that same stick, that stick went almost all the way through to the other side. That's how deep it went. I estimated that tree to have about 80 to 90% decay at about 8 feet up. Now here's a shot from the front side again. This is the drop zone. There's the tree. You can see it's a lot of interfering limbs in the other trees nearby and all those shrubs in the yard. It's definitely a challenging drop. Rotate. We found some fairly solid wood down here at the base of the tree. I'm going to plunge it just to double check to see how good the wood is. And in that case, I'm going to plunge it right indirectly from the desired direction that we're going to lay this thing down. We put some straps on here to keep this thing from splitting. 2 big straps underneath all that decay and that big section of decay, two smaller straps above it. So what I'm planning on doing here is cutting a narrow Humboldt, and if it catches that oak branch up there, hopefully it rolls right off and lays right down in the grass here. We took the fence apart and we should have plenty of room in the lay if everything goes well. So it's a little nerve-wracking because it is such a rotten tree, but it's certainly better to cut this thing at the base, pull it with a truck on a bull line, leave a nice fat hinge on there, than it is to send a man up in the tree. Much safer to fall this tree from the ground, possibly doing a little collateral damage to some of the shrubs and maybe breaking a branch or two in one of these trees up here that can be pruned out later. It's certainly better to do that than it is to put a man's life at risk by sending him up this tree, rigging off this tree or trying to tie him to another tree and getting funny with these wires here and all that. It's just better to drop this thing from the ground. I'm not thrilled with leaving a very thin hinge. However, if I leave too much of a hinge, then there's a possibility that the weakness up here is going to be the weak point. I definitely want to make the weak point here the hinge. So it's a bit of a tricky cut. Again, maybe you can see the look on my face. I'm a little concerned, but I have a feeling everything's going to go pretty well here. Let's see what happens. Now it's nearly impossible to tell from this video, but that tree has significant side lean to the left here. And that makes it a major concern to make sure that that hinge is fat enough to hold against the side lean, especially in dead oak. Another concern was the interfering limbs on the adjacent trees. That large limb coming out in the upper left-hand corner of the screen is from a big oak tree in the neighbor's yard. The tips were definitely going to catch that. It looked like whatever did catch would break off. Also, there's a smaller maple tree there, and it looked from the back like the lowest limb on the dead oak was going to clear the maples and come underneath the big oak limb on the left-hand side of the screen there. So it looked like this tree was going to fit through the upper canopy fairly well, with maybe some small tips breaking off, but no significant damage.
On the truck. I'm sitting there watching the tree and it's moving.
Because the ground man saw the tree begin to move to the sideway just from starting the notch like that, we've dropped the filming of everything and I set up a redirect block for the pull line, which was pre-tensioned and offset from the desired lay to compensate for the side lean of the tree.
Now let's watch that again in slow motion. The line's been pre-tensioned, the cut's been made, I'm out of there. Then I call for the pull, and the pickup truck, 4-wheel drive, hits the gas, brings the tree down. Watch the upper branching structure, what happens there. That lowest branch to the left clears the maple and comes underneath the oak limb. The top branches rub on the oak limb there and actually break a piece of deadwood out of that oak, the standing oak there, and then the piece comes down with a few loose pieces falling out of the top of the tree. And see how long it takes for all those bits to get to the ground. There's still stuff falling out of that tree now.
Thank you.
I gotta tell you, that was a pretty good cut.
I am so happy it's down.
I'm a troublemaker for the electric company.
I had faith in the whole time.
And Dan got satisfied, and
All right, well, I appreciate you letting me use the
Good.
driveway.
You got me.
Nice,
You got
really
it.
appreciate it.
Good
Yeah.
job.
you didn't even hit my daffodils.
It worked out nicely.
Boy, that was a sound when that hit the ground.
And I didn't notice when I looked at the tree yesterday. We went and popped a little hole. We saw a squirrel's nest in there.
Yeah.
We stuck a stick through the bottom of that tree this deep. It had like 2 inches of good wood on either side. Which is why we had to put those straps on either side of the weak point so
Yeah.
it didn't split.
Load binders.
Yeah. So we can see we missed the neighbor's fence here. It all broke up. Azalea got a little bit squashed. She's not too worried about it though, apparently. And there's the hinge. Fat boy, huh? There's the foot. Well, you can see that's quite a few inches across there. And pretty decent wood down in that hinge area. Here we can see there's a squirrel's nest in there, man. Whoa, you see all that daylight in there? Holy mackerel. There's the hollow. Put the straps above and below. I can't tell you, man, how deep that gets. That gets mighty deep. So the hinge was pointing straight towards that pickup truck there. And the tree laid over here because of that side weight. Maybe got hung up a little bit on some of those branches up there. Whew. It's a hairy tree.
And I called the one, and he came the same day. And he told me that he would have to bring in a crane, that he would have to cut back my lilac bush, my rose of Sharon bush, and 2 20-foot evergreens to get a crane in. And I made it a matter of prayer and trusting the Lord to take care of my needs so I wouldn't wipe out my savings account. Daniel did such a good job, and I saved $5,600, and I can sleep better at night knowing I didn't deplete my savings. To take down the tree and get rid of everything. And so for that, I am grateful that I saved money, and he did a good job. And don't anyone ever hesitate to call up and tell him to come and take down a tree.
Okay.
How's that?
That's beautiful. Yeah. Thank you so much. All right. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Thank you so much. It was really a pleasure working for you.
Oh, you're
and I really
welcome.
appreciate it coming on the video. And